What is good, people? This is your man, Bo. I am one half of the ESMR REVENGERS. And right now, I want to do a little conversation on the homie Stephen A. Smith and his recent trip to the Breakfast Club. Now, I didn't realize this. Stephen A. Smith is really dope, and I think we need to give Stephen A. his just due, and I don't think he gets enough respect. So, right now, he's doing a campaign which is trying to help awareness for HBCUs, and if you don't know what that means, that's historically black colleges. And he went to Winston-Salem State, I believe it is, which is where he got to start in journalism. And he credits that to his entire career. Now, this conversation with the Breakfast Club, DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God, and Angela Yee was actually extremely fascinating. And I want to get into some of that right now. A couple key points in the interview we're going to go through. A lot of things he said I really liked, and I want to break it down with the Revenger crew right now. So let's get into it. The first clip starts at about 3 minutes, 11 seconds, talking about low emotional IQ, and I found it very interesting. Let's check it out.
We're about to find out. Yeah, I feel like both of them have very low emotional IQs. And this New York, like if you got thin skin and you can't handle people talking about you, critiquing you, it's going to be rough.
I would say this to you. Kyrie can handle it because he's going to dance on you. KD, this is my argument in defense of KD, and Lord knows we've had our back and forth. We still have our back and forth. But here's the deal about KD. Every time I see KD have an attitude, every time he in the news for the wrong reasons, every time people getting on him, he drops 40. But if that's your definition of a bad day, go ahead and have it.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead. Right. He's the kind of cat where his game is going to be his game. His game will not disappoint you. And the reason why I think they can coexist, I think KD, who, by the way, I'm going to see Friday, KD is one of those guys. He's one of the most unselfish superstars you'll ever see.
Now, in this conversation, our man Stephen A. Smith was actually talking about the situation with Kyrie and Kevin Durant in New Jersey, or Brooklyn as they are now. New Jersey Nets. I'm an old man. Shouts to Kerry Kittles, Keith Van Horn. But talking about their move to Brooklyn and how it's going to affect the league and if it made any sense. And it was interesting to hear Charlamagne and Stephen A. Smith speak about low emotional IQ, which is actually a big thing throughout the country. A lot of people don't understand that you have to have emotional intelligence to survive. So let's fast forward a little bit to his conversation about Carmelo Anthony in the league. My opinion on Carmelo Anthony is he's been trash since day one. He's not that great. Some people think he's a Hall of Famer. Where? I don't understand the Hall of Fame conversation with the homie Carmelo Anthony. No disrespect to Carmelo Anthony. I just don't think he's ever done anything. But let's move forward where he's speaking on Carmelo's potential moves around the league.
No. Without question, without question, they're doing it wrong.
A good tour on his last season.
No.
Why not?
Stop the tour.
Melo's
Stop the tour.
Stop the tour. No tours.
Melo belongs in the league. There ain't 250 players, let alone 450 plus players better than Carmelo Anthony.
I disagree.
Now, you're making the argument that the ball stops moving when he's on the court, which is legitimate. But I think what people are missing is what has happened to the NBA game. You got a bunch of these white dudes that are analytics. Now,
this is interesting. Listen up.
So they're numbers crunchers, and everything is according to PER and all of this other stuff, all of these statistical categories. Well, what has happened is they're looking at that and they're using that to frame rosters. Because
now listen to this right here. Very interesting.
Particularly doesn't know basketball. What's their position? I know numbers.
Right.
Well, if you're an analytics dude, you coming to them with numbers. So they're going to let you flow. This is why Daryl Morey let go of Carmelo with 10 games into the season.
Because some analysts told him 10 days they got rid of Carmelo.
In 10-game increments.
I don't blame them.
After 10 games, they think
Let's
it
move
tells
on
you something.
to the
So
Antonio Brown conversation, which I really enjoyed as well. Stephen A. made some great points, and it was a very fun interview.
I'm not calling him a buffoon. I'm not calling him clownish because that's engaging
Talking
in
about
character
Antonio
assassination.
Brown right now.
I'm talking about how he has conducted himself over the last few weeks. I don't believe you do the kind of stuff that he did, and I wasn't following him.
Did you guys have a problem with Antonio Brown?
I just do what I do on TV or radio, and they post it on social media, and he didn't want it disseminated to his followers, and I don't blame him because I went in on him, and he deserved it.
Do you think the Patriots
He did act
signing
like
him
an
sent the
asshole.
wrong message?
Let's be clear. He did.
Like they're rewarding bad behavior?
I don't think that's the Patriots' problem.
I love this.
I think that you're trying to win Super Bowls.
I love this.
You've already
It's not the Patriots'
won
problem.
6 rings with Tom Brady.
It's not
and
the
Bill
Patriots'
Belichick
problem if
in
he's a
that
dickhead.
era.
Nobody cares.
You have the
We're
license
trying to win
do what
championships.
you want to do. He was guaranteed $30 million from Oakland. He's only guaranteed $9 from New England. 5 in incentives he could earn, and then they
Now
got an option.
Now we're gonna move forward, and something I found very interesting about this whole conversation. Stephen A. Smith was actually held back in the 4th grade because he read at a 1st grade reading level, and that actually hurt him, and that's what got him started into higher education and being intelligent. And I thought this was a really dope piece of the conversation. A lot of people don't understand, and Stephen A. Smith is kind of misunderstood. A lot of people call him Uncle Tom. We're gonna touch on that later, but this portion of the conversation was incredibly fascinating. Let's move ahead.
I'll pass. And then all of a sudden it just went from there. So how did you get your start into this industry?
Well, I went to Winston-Salem State, an HBCU, and I majored in
not Hampton, but I love that college.
You know what? You are right about that, and I'll say that's for different reasons for another day.
All right.
But Hampton is special.
Right.
I will say this, just being there and majoring in mass communications. Look, man, I got left back in the 4th grade, and I had a 1st grade reading level. And
Crazy.
From that point
Crazy.
Forward, remembering, I mean, it was 4th grade, man. I'll tell you right now, I'm 51 years old. This is over 40 years ago, and the kids in the neighborhood.
He looks good for 51. Looks real good for 51. Let's not escape that.
Lewis, Donald Miller, Willie Jones. I mean, I remember.
He said he didn't forget anybody that made fun of him, which I can believe.
I had focused my attention on. Nobody's ever gonna laugh at me again for my lack of intelligence. I was gonna make sure I was gonna elevate that, and
completely
so
dope.
Me,
no one's ever gonna make fun of me again. Ever.
Noticed my ability to write and told me.
All right, let's move a little forward a little ways. The next conversation he talks about is why he can't be friends with non-retired players. Check this out.
Extra game. That's the kind of stuff that you got to point to.
Can you be friends with somebody you're reporting on?
Me personally, not really. That don't mean you enemies, but there's a healthy balance. Like, for example, I'm incredibly tight with Shaq and Kobe and cats like that, but more so now that they're retired. They're saying with AI, now that he's retired. D-Wade's my man, now that he's retired. But I always let them know, I'll never backstab you. You'll always see me coming. I'm like a Mack truck. You will see me. I'm coming right at you. I'm looking for you. And
that's dope. He doesn't report on people without telling them. I think that's real hard. I think that's real dope.
With Shaq's mom came up to me and she was furious with me. And I
was
like, what I do?
Check it out.
She said, "You too soft on my son."
Told him he's too soft on Shaq. Shaq's mom's telling him.
So he got mad at me one time, and I looked at him and said, "Right there,
your mom's telling me to get on you. Your mom is saying it."
I said, "Ask her."
Dope.
She told me to write it.
So further in the interview, they ask him who he prefers, Max Kellerman or Skip Bayless. And honestly, this whole conversation is worth your time to go back and listen to. If you're in the sport of Stephen A. Smith, you obviously know who he is. And obviously, there's a lot of opinions about him. I said obviously way too many times. Because he's a very controversial figure. But, like, he's a real dude, man. I really gained a lot of respect from him throughout this interview. Let's move forward to about 20 minutes in the interview. He talks about Max Kellerman or Skip Bayless, who he would choose. Check this out. Really dope what he says.
What I'm talking about, in terms of covering.
Who was your favorite co-host, Max Kellerman or Skip Bayless?
That's a trick question.
He handles this so
well. I would be honest with you. I would tell you Skip.
Okay.
I got love for Max. Max is a brilliant brother. Knows his history. Is an intellectual and whatever. But if you ask Max who's better to work with, me or Marcellus Wiley, he'd say Marcellus Wiley because that's his brother. Skip Bayless is my brother from another mother, man. We go back 25 years. We're incredibly tight. We still communicate with each other every single month. That's my man, and we skyrocketed to #1 together. And no matter what I'm doing on First Take, it's because of Skip Bayless.
Look at this. This is dope. This is so dope.
Skip Bayless is the one that went to the bosses and said, "I need this."
Giving
guy.
love to
Please
Skip Bayless.
This guy,
and this shows.
Please bring this guy.
This shows the level of respect that Stephen A. actually has. A lot of people hate on Stephen A., but this is the dopest thing you can do. When somebody puts you on game, when somebody introduces you to a new audience, when somebody elevates your career, you show them love. You lift them back up for lifting you up, and that's what Stephen A. is doing. So hate him as you may, this is the dopest thing he could have did right here.
On this show, I want to work across from him every day. The fact that he's done something like that, I can never forget. I'm not that kind of dude. It's not about just where you are. It's about how you got there. There's people that's done things for you. There's people that's done things for you. And even though you're at a certain place,
Thanks.
it's no denying.
Always show love to those that help you. Never disrespect those that gave you the leg up. Let's wrap things up here. Now, for those that don't know, Stephen A. Smith has known DJ Envy a long time. They're both from Queens, and Queens is dope. I gotta shout Queens real quick. Queens sticks together. And so, just like you might have seen in the news recently, 50 Cent has been telling Nicki Minaj not to retire because they from Queens. Queens shows love to Queens. That's dope. I don't know another neighborhood that shows love in that fashion. I've never seen it like that. That's super hard. Now let's wrap things up. Skip. Our boy Stephen A. talks about being called an Uncle Tom and how it affects him, because a lot of people do think that because he's done the show with Skip, he's kind of a side, he's kind of an Uncle Tom, but he responds to that dopely. I really love his confidence, and I love the fact that he's not ashamed to be who he is. It's really one of the dopest things. Check this out.
And I know y'all know this, but it's important that they know this, because a lot of times it's not about ignorance.
Two more quick questions. I know you got to go.
Had to get it right.
Do you take offense to people when they call you an Uncle Tom or a sellout?
I do. It doesn't, but I don't take offense to it in a way where I lose sleep over it. I mean, excuse my language, they can kiss my ass, okay? Because I don't think I'm selling out. I think I'm looking out. What I'm trying to do is inform them of the world that awaits. I'm in corporate America. You know how many times I get in an argument even with players sometimes? I'm like, I'm in the newsroom.
And this conversation is in response to him telling NFL players, NBA players, and professional athletes not to smoke weed. And he goes on to say that he brought Snoop Dogg onto his show to talk about the fact that athletes shouldn't smoke weed, because Snoop said, I am in the industry where smoking weed is okay, but you're not. And I thought it was really dope, because when Snoop said it, everybody thought, oh, it's dope, the Snoop is looking out. But when Stephen A. said it, they called him Uncle Tom. So I think Stephen A. is dope. He's here representing historically black colleges and trying, and that could be a press thing, let's be honest. That could easily be a press move, because let's face it, if you got a bad reputation, doing something to the opposite of the reputation that you have makes a lot of sense. So he could be doing this in response to the fact that he's been called the Uncle Tom. I don't care. I think it's dope. He went to a HBCU, so a lot of credibility there. Let's let him wrap it up right quick.
Don't talk to me about the media. You don't know what they're plotting. You know how many reporters smile in your face, and then behind your back,
look at the realness.
Information to another reporter, so that reporter could go out there and do it. But they don't want smiling in your face, but they stabbing you in the back. You see me coming. I'm telling you, this is not what you're supposed to do. This is not what you're going to do, because it's not going to work.
You see me coming.
I'm not thinking for
I'm not
myself.
stabbing you in your back. I'm your friend. I'm going to stab you right in your front. That's what friends do. Friends don't stab in the back. They stab in the front.
A couple of times, but specifically last year, I'm big about staying off the weed. Let me be very, very clear. I got family members and friends smoking.
Keep going. I'm going to let this run. I'm supposed to wrap it up, but I'm going to let my man's run.
Come on now. We know better. I'm not talking about the average person. I'm talking about the athlete who's going to lose money because he's doing it. The NFL or the NBA says you cannot do that. Otherwise, we are going to take your money.
Stephen A. is fired,
so
man.
If it's going to take your money, why would you do it? He'll sell out. This dude, blah, blah, blah. Guess what I did? I brought on Snoop Dogg. Now, we all know he gives new meat in the green rooms. Okay, we know this.
New meat in the green rooms. Bars.
That's right.
My man's got bars.
Snoop Dogg on. Snoop Dogg echoed the same thing that I said. And Snoop Dogg like, Stephen A., you ain't lying to them. You telling them right, because I'm in a genre where I'm allowed to get away with that. They can't.
Boom.
Everybody like, man, Snoop real, man. Appreciate it. He said the same thing I said. But because it came from me, you got a problem. And so we got to understand that when we're in the position that we're in, and I'm talking amongst us, all of us, when we're in the position and we got this microphone, we got these airwaves available to us, haters gonna hate. That's right. It's a given. I understand it. It's
haters
no big
gonna
deal.
hate.
Let them
Accept
hate.
it. Embrace
because
it.
when you're trying to make a difference and you're trying to impact the masses,
listen to the preaching right now.
Do outweigh the lives.
Listen.
Of the few. And sometimes the lives of the few you're gonna piss off. That's what comes with it.
Absolutely.
That's what comes with it.
So my man says, when you trying to impact the lives of the many, you're gonna piss off the few. Super dope. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. I came into this watching this video, and I had my own preconceived notions about Stephen A. Smith. Personally, I think that he's controversial to be controversial, like a lot of ESPN folks are, like Skip Bayless is. But I think at the end of the day, he's a real dude. I think at the end of the day, he's going to take care of you. I think he's going to be straight with you. I think he's going to shoot you from the hip. And I think he's, like he said, you see me coming. If I'm putting the story out there, you're going to know about it. Super, super, super dope. Shouts to my Revenger crew. If you've been watching this video, I've been doing this for 14 minutes now. If you're still watching, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and tell us what you love about the Revenger crew. Or if you're watching and you hate us, tell us why you hate us too. I love dealing with haters. You can check out many of our videos. I go back and forth with you all day long. I got a job, but I'll take time out to deal with you. Peace and love. Shouts to Revenger Crew. Also, check out our podcast below. Me and the wifey, Anweezy. Celebrity Beef Podcast. www.anchor.fm/celebritybeef. Peace and love. I'm out, bitches.